Muy buenos días.
Good morning.
¿Cómo están?
How are you?
Michelle, María.
Michelle,
Estamos
Maria.
transmitiendo hoy en vivo desde
We are
Miami en los
transmitting
estudios de
today
Pangea
live
Plus.
from Miami
Es
at the Pangea
miércoles,
Plus
¿qué
Studios,
fue? Es? 13.
Wednesday. Wednesday,
18
and
ya.
today is
18 de
March
marzo.
18th.
Muy felices de tener a nuestra
Very
primera
happy to
invitada.
have our first guest.
Primero que nada,
But
bueno,
first of
queremos dar
all,
un
we would
mensaje
like
de
to
solidaridad
give a
pues
solidarity
por este tema
message
del
for all this
coronavirus que estamos
topic of
pasando.
coronavirus that we're going through.
Tomemos nuestras
Let's take our
precauciones.
precautions.
Bueno,
Uh,
estemos atentos
let's
y
be very
pues
aware
sigamos
and
indicaciones,
follow
eso es
all
lo
the
más importante.
instructions.
Nos
That's the most
tomó
important. It
un
took
muy
us
interesante
a
debate
very interesting debate uh,
decidir
to
si hacemos el
decide
programa o no aquí en el estudio
if we
porque
would do
bueno,
the
cada uno
program or
tiene sus
not,
circunstancias
because
y
each one of us has our own
pues
circumstances,
entonces hay que seguir
and above all because we have to
recomendaciones. Pero
follow
bueno,
all the
sí, fue
recommendations.
difícil,
It
pero
was very
decidimos
difficult, but
hacerlo. Aquí estamos con
we
ustedes.
decided to do it
Y bueno,
here,
antes de
be here with you.
empezar, queremos recordarles que se
Before we
suscriban
start, we would like
a
to
nuestras
remind you
redes
to
sociales
subscribe to our social
en
media
María Arrieta
at
Net, que se suscriban a nuestro
mariaarrieta.net and
website
subscribe to our website
mariaarrieta.net, porque mandamos
mariaarrieta.net,
todos los
because
martes
we
un email
send all
con
Tuesdays
todo el resumen de
an
lo que
email
vamos a
of all the
desarrollar.
summary of
Entonces,
what we talked
los
about in the
invitamos
program.
y
So we
le quiero
invite
dar la
you,
bienvenida,
and I
por
would like
supuesto, a
to
nuestra doctora
give
María,
a
pero
special
súper
welcome to
especial
our
a
guest,
Michelle
Michelle
Townson, que nos está
Thompson, that
visitando
is visiting
con su
us with
producto
her
Roja
product,
by Misha.
the
¿Cómo
red
estás?
vanilla. How are you?
Muy bien,
Hello, Carol.
feliz de
How
estar
very
acá.
thank you.
Carolina y yo
Very,
estamos
very
súper
happy to be
contentas
over
de
here.
tenerte en
Carolina
nuestro
and I are very
programa.
happy to have you here
Muy
in our
orgullosas,
program.
de verdad,
Very
siempre
very
agregado muy
proud to
grande
have
que
you
estemos
here,
juntas.
and it's a great honor to
Adicionalmente,
have you
bueno, pues
here.
también tu tema que
And
va a
to
ser
start with your
bastante
topic, that
interesante,
it's going to
muy
be a very interesting
motivador e
topic and very
inspirador. Le
motivator
recordamos a
and
todos nuestros
inspiring.
oyentes
We
que
remind
por
all of our
favor
people
compartan
hearing
con
us
todos sus
to
amigos, sus
please
familiares,
share
con todo
with
el
all your
mundo
friends, with
nuestra
everybody,
aplicación
our
móvil
app,
Pangea
Pangea
FM
app,
y nos
Pangea
escuchan a través de
FM,
Pangea Plus.
and you can hear us through
Adicionalmente,
Pangea Plus.
recuerden que este espacio es de
Also,
ustedes.
remember that this space
Todo el tema
is for
que les
you.
interese,
All the
referente
topic
a
that you're
enfermos,
interested
por
about, and
favor,
if you would
no
like us
duden en
to talk about
contactarnos.
it
Nos van a
more,
disculpar.
please don't
En todas las
hesitate
redes
in
estamos en Instagram.
contacting us.
Ahora estamos en podcast
And
y
right now
justo dentro de poquito, apenas
we're in
terminemos el
Facebook and
programa,
in Instagram,
también
and we're
estamos al
also in
aire,
podcast
inclusive
and
en Facebook
YouTube.
Live en este momento.
And we're
Estamos
also on
transmitiendo.
Facebook Live right now.
Bueno,
We're transmitting live right
Así
now.
qué
es.
mejor.
Bueno, primero
Well,
que nada,
first of
cuéntanos,
all,
Michelle,
tell
si
us,
el
Michelle,
coronavirus te ha
if
afectado,
this of
cómo
the
lo has hecho de esta
coronavirus is
manera,
affecting,
cómo ha
what are
cambiado
the
la vida
measures that
tan
you have been
rápidamente en el
taking, and
país.
how the life is
Bueno, yo
changing
creo que
very
no hay quien no se
rapidly.
pueda dar por afectado.
Well, I think everybody has been affected
Ya en este país, porque mi país sí
in this
cerró
country,
fronteras muy
because
rápido.
my country closed the frontiers very.
Bueno, yo nací en Guatemala.
I was born in Guatemala, and I am from
Tú
Guatemala and from
regresado de
Costa
Guatemala.
Rica.
Bueno, tengo mi
Um,
ticket hasta el 23, pero sí,
I have my
el presidente
ticket
de
on the
Guatemala ha tomado
23rd
medidas
to
muy
go back to
drásticas
Guatemala,
rápidamente y las
but the
médicas
president
somos la
has
principal
taken measures very
propagación entre lo
drastically, and
peor
he is a
en
doctor
América
as his
ha
first
sido
career. And America has been affected the last, but right now has given us the opportunity to learn what they have done wrong and to the actions that have been taken. Deep inside, I'm very grateful for all the actions that the president has taken. So possibly a lot of very poor people can be affected in Central America. So we have to just hang on in there, and we're here supporting the topic. And I think it's very important because fashion, it's always influenced by all these situations that are happening around us. Yes, we're very grateful
Y de verdad
because
nos agradecemos muchísimo que estés con nosotros.
we're from the very heart, we're very grateful that you are here
Como tú dices, el
with
tema es
us.
importante y
Like you said, this
ahorita
topic is very
el foco está en
important,
el tema del
although right
coronavirus,
now the
el tema
focus is on the virus,
es de siempre,
but this topic is an
aprender
everyday
y
topic.
comentar.
What we have to learn, what we have to take into
Referencia que
account.
hablamos el programa
And
pasado
what
sobre
we
el
were
tema de
talking the last program
queremos darle
that
un
was
giro y por eso
referring to the
es muy importante
women
para nosotras que
So that's why it was very important for you to be here, because we ended talking about the last program. We were talking about the indigenous women and the impact that they have and the inequality that they suffer. So obviously, everything that you're gonna talk about, it's gonna be very important about this. So before we start, I wanted to ask Maria, how are you? What changes have you been doing? Well, Caro, Michelle, all the changes have been very strong. Um, our routine, everyday routine, unfortunately, like robots, it's been cut from the root. So that's been affecting a little, but it's also very positive, talking about the fact to have the space to think and to see what is actually happening. I have been thinking inside myself, we still have to do a lot more in a like isolation induced by all that is happening. But what I see that this is making us think what is happening around the world. And part of what is happening around the world is that every day we're living in a hurry and we're doing a lot of things. And what our program is doing is having a lot of impact of sustainable fashion. The CO2 level has lowered, has decreased. So we're seeing that nature, the universe is moving us, or definitely is coming us to move us. And this is what I have analyzed. What is happening? Definitely, everybody has to make conscious that we can actually do something, that we can do something from our houses, from our community, from our cities, with friends and family. We can just give a little something, and everything, and all of this is a reflect of what we're stopping and thinking. We're very happy to have you, Michelle, and we're very happy to make this program because basically you're inspiring us to make a change from the bottom of ourselves. And this is happening because of all these change of events that are happening. We're seeing all the consequences, and we're trusting in God. I think that we are going to win with a lot of the tools, the important tools that we have to change the planet, to change the world, to change ourselves, and we have to think this way. And thank you for asking. I wanted to share all of this with you. Well, I really think that the world needed to stop and look what we're doing with our planet. This creating this new virus that has been created, we don't know how to handle it. But what I do see, it's the world is being united. From something wrong, something good comes out. What is happening in Italy, people singing from the windows. So there are things that had been lost. So that means to learn to respect our planet. Because we're talking about the topic, I don't think that had been an important circumstance to make us make a real change in our mind. I wrote a manifesto a few months ago where I say that the designers, we are the ones that we have the obligation of making a change, because we are the ones that influence in the way they buy in the consumer. So we have to start with the designers so that the industry can actually react, so that they can contaminate less the planet. The emissions have lowered down a lot precisely because of that, because of a lot of factors that have been influenced. But since it has stopped, the system has stopped, the production system has stopped. So the numbers have been lowering down impression. The economy has been hit, but it is very interesting because it has made us see the things in a different way, in a more human way, more space. Really, what if we have talked about, Maria and I, from the beginning, is how we consume. Specifically, we were talking about fashion, how we consume fashion. So, right now, you see a lot of crazy things about the toilet paper. and
Pero
without minimizing at all the
la
necessity,
fuerza
but
con la que la gente se dirige a
the
estos
force of that the
lugares, bueno, pues
people
entonces vemos que no es tan
go and make this
importante
crazy
consumir
shopping.
la ropa
So we see that it's not really important
reciclable.
to consume
Entonces,
clothes with this craziness.
bueno, como les
So,
decía, el programa pasado
like
nos
I was
hablamos
saying
por
in
el
the
tema de
last
las
program,
indígenas
we were
y
talking about the
estábamos
indigenous
escuchando
women, and we
una
were
conferencia
listening
que dice
to a
cosas súper
conference
interesantes
where it
como
says
que
that a
hay
lot
que
of interesting
empoderar
things,
a la
like
mujer
we have
indígena
to
porque
empower the
por
indigenous
naturaleza
women,
ellas traen esta sabiduría
because by nature they
que
have this
pues la
wisdom.
sabiduría que a nosotros nos conecta con
That is,
nuestras
it's a
raíces
wisdom that we are
y
connected with our
qué es lo
roots.
que yo te quiero preguntar, Michelle, ¿qué tú
And
piensas al
what I
respecto?
want to
Hablábamos un
ask you,
poquito
Michelle, is what you think
de
about it.
mujeres
We
emprendedoras,
were
pero
talking about the
vámonos
entrepreneur
vamos a
women,
hablar, ajá, vamos a hablar un poquito de la mujer
but
indígena
we're going to
porque yo sé
talk
que
a little bit
tienes
about the
bastante
indigenous women
conocimiento.
because I
Entonces,
think you
cuéntanos un
have a
poquito
lot of
qué piensas
knowledge about
del
these.
tema
So
emprendedor.
tell us a little bit about what you think about the entrepreneur.
Realmente somos de los
You, like
países que
Mexican and Guatemalan, we are
pertenecemos a
from the
países con mucha
countries from
historia
Latin
cultural
America,
y
um,
artísticos,
that
pero
that
sobre todo
have a lot of
desconectan
artistic indigenous women,
realmente.
but
Yo
they're
he
like
tenido que
very
experimentar y
innate
conocer muchas de
cultures
ellas por los tintes naturales que
because
tienen.
of the
Y para
colors that they
mí
get
ha
from
sido
nature.
mucho
And for me, has
impactante
been very
porque
shocking.
las
All these
tradiciones milenarias
traditions
que se
from
logran
very long, from a long
nosotros más bien desde
ago,
otro punto social,
that they get to
tomamos
transmit,
como
and
de una
us,
ignorancia a esta gente,
we see it from a
pero
different point of
los
view.
valores que tienen
We see them
posiblemente
probably
deberíamos
from
de tenerlos con
ignorance,
la boca
but
abierta
all these
porque
values
yo fui
that
a
they
un
have,
taller de los tintes
uh, they
naturales
would
y
possibly leave Bill
me
Gates
caí
with the open
era
mouth. I went
súper
to
real
this
todos
workshop
los
from these
detalles
natural
hasta la gabardina
colors, and a
cambia la
detail
perspectiva
like a blue.
súper
You
cosas
only
así
get
que te
it
quedas
when
como
there's a full
wow,
moon
¿cómo me está
because the
diciendo esto?
chlorophyll changes from the
Entonces
plant.
definitivamente la mujer
So these are very
tiene
things that you
una
get. Wow.
conocimiento innato
So definitely,
y una
indigenous women
facilidad
has a
de
knowledge
aprendizaje en todas esas
and
en todas
a
esas
very
manualidades y
they
pues son
they easily learn
impresionantes.
all these
El problema principal
handcrafts, and
en
all
todo mi
these
país,
touchable
Guatemala,
things are
es
very
el
impressive.
machismo cultural.
Is the
Y eso
cultural
lamentablemente hoy por
machismo,
hoy sigue siendo una realidad
and it's
representante
sadly
creo que en
a
México un
reality
poco
in
menos,
Mexico and in Guatemala,
pero
probably a little
que
less,
sigue
but
despreciando las
it's
habilidades
still
y que
disapproving
en
the ability
países
of
de mayor
women.
influencia
Um,
logren la equidad de género
it's
para que en
it's
determinados momentos se
important
logre
that the
casi
countries
paran
can
imitándolos.
accomplish the
El
gender
empoderamiento de la
equality.
mujer es bastante
The
difícil
women
en las
empowering
zonas
is very
indígenas por la
difficult in the
característica
indigenous
étnica
women
de
because
cada
of
uno de los
cultural and
grupos.
ethnical, of depending of
Por
each of
eso,
the
para
groups
poder
that they
demostrar el
work on.
proceso
In order
desde
for
ese
me to
borde de la
show the
fantasía,
process,
que
the
para
way
mí,
you
debo contarte que
sew
3
the
años cuando
beads,
empecé con este
like
proyecto,
for
yo tuve
me,
sueños
3 years ago when I
de que
started
no podía creer
with
que
the
una persona
project,
estaba enhebrando
all of this was
pues
coming from China because I couldn't
bolitas
believe
de las
that
piedrecitas
a
que me mandaban.
person
Y
was
cuando me
sewing
explicaron todo el
little
proceso, tuve que
little bead
indagar
by little
con
bead.
cada
So when they explained
dirigente
the process
del
to me,
grupo,
I had
que
to
son las
talk
etnias, las
with
etnias étnicas. Entonces,
the,
primero
the
tuve que
leader of the
totalmente
group that
tapar
was
toda
talking
carga de
indigenous
cabello,
language.
lo más
First
tapado
of all, I
posible
had to cover them
y
myself,
explicarles
long
y hacerle
sleeve,
demostrados
no
a la
neck,
gente el
the
tiempo, el
most covered that I
proceso que
could
lleva.
go. And
La gente no iba a
I had to
aprender a
explain that
cocinar
if we didn't
porque
show the
tenemos la
people
mala
the
costumbre
time and the
y la
process
práctica
that
de
took to
regatearle
this
al indígena, al más
process,
pobre, al que
people
más
wouldn't
lo necesita.
appreciate the
Y
work.
esa es una de las
So we
cosas que
had
yo enfatizo tanto,
the
no
costume,
regatear.
bad costume, that in
Igual
Latin
que en México
America
das una hamburguesa,
we can
tú pides un
ask
descuento. O
to
sea,
sell something
vas
for
a
less
Gucci y no vas
money.
a pedir un descuento. Entonces no lo hagamos con
So
ellos.
let's not do it
Su
with the
trabajo le podemos
people that
asignar
their work
7 u 8
uh,
personas en su casa.
takes
Ese es uno
food
de
to
los principales
78
problemas
people,
y es la parte
7 or 8
cultural.
people in their
El chip
house.
cultural es muy
So
fuerte.
changing the cultural part is
Yo tuve
very,
una
the
comunidad
cultural
en
chip
la
is
cual
very
había
strong.
espacio de
I
todos,
had
porque
a
gracias a las
community in which all
diferencias
the space
sociales que sí se
for
tienen,
everybody was
seguimos
another
construyendo
issue, a
juntos.
big issue. Social
Y a veces
differences,
lamentablemente se
and
malconfunden las
unfortunately,
ideologías
in Latin
políticas
America,
con lo
the
que es
political
buscar
ideology is
el empoderamiento de la
confused,
mujer.
and
Entonces esos son de
helping
los
the
principales problemas que yo creo que existen en nuestro
starting
país.
or
Sí,
empowering
tú
of
comentabas la
women
semana
is one of the
pasada
main
que también uno
problems.
de los grandes
I was
problemas
saying last week
específicamente
also
con
that one of the
mujeres
big problems,
indígenas es que no hay confianza
specifically
para
talking about
darles
indigenous women, is that there's no
préstamos
trust. to giving them bank
¿Pueden
loans.
ellas hacer
So,
sus
how can
contactos,
they
sus
um,
pequeñas
get
industrias
their own
cuando no tienen
small
ese
industries
respaldo, ¿no?
when
La
they don't
desconfianza hace que
have
ellas no
the
paguen con
support,
eso.
because there's no
Entonces,
trust in
sí
order for
llega
them to pay back
a
what
ser
they get?
complicado.
So, yes, it is very
Nos contabas
complicated.
una historia muy
You
linda
were telling me
de
a
las
very nice
bolsas del
story
mercado. Cuéntanos cuál
about
es el
the
origen de
bags
la
from
bolsa
the
del mercado,
market.
que es
Tell
como
us what
una
is the
base,
origin of these
¿correcto? De lo que
bags.
haces.
Sí, les voy a contar un poquito
Yes,
de
I'm
eso.
going to tell you a little bit.
No, cuando ya nace el proyecto,
When this project is
empieza
born,
el diseño de las carteras, es por
the
medio de las
purse, the
comunidades
wallet, the
indígenas y
design
comunidades
was a
campesinas de México.
consequence
Pero
from other
platicando con Caro,
communities. But
obviamente
talking a
ella es
little bit
mexicana,
with Caro and
la
seeing that
historia,
she is
yo
Mexican,
logré averiguar
in
que a
the
todas se nos fue
history that
familiar la
I
bolsa
found
de
out,
plástico con la que iban nuestras
because of
abuelas
these
al mercado a
the
comprar
bag that you go
dulces.
to the
Yo
market
empecé,
with,
igual que las
all the
chairas de
grandmothers
Acapulco,
go
con la
shopping with this
tendencia
bag.
de hilo
So I
plástico y
started just
textura.
as the chair from Acapulco that is made from
Entonces me
plastic
pongo a tratar de
thread,
investigar y lo que llegué a encontrar
which
fue
is
la
something
historia que
cultural. So I
aproximadamente en
started to find out,
1842,
and what I found out
1843,
is the
en la
history
Ciudad de
that
México
in
había
around
habían dos
1942,
calles que
1943,
juntaban
in
estas
Mexico
pequeñas.
City, there
Y
were
del lado
two
izquierdo
streets, and on the
era lo que
left
era el mercado de
was
bolsa de
the
valores.
stock market.
Y del lado
And
derecho
on
era
the
un pequeño
right,
mercado
there
de
was a very
verduras o de
small
frutas, o lo
vegetable
que se conocía
market,
muy bien en América como
fruit and
mercado.
vegetable market.
Entonces esta señora, que
So
logré
this
averiguar el nombre,
lady,
es un poco
um,
vaga la historia,
I haven't found out her name,
se da cuenta de cómo llegaba
but
la
she
gente de
realizes,
cierto nivel
she
económico
sees
para
how
trazar
these
sus negocios a este mercado.
people from a
Y se
certain
pone a ver que la
economical
gente que
level to
llegaba
make their
al mercado
businesses,
de verduras casi
and
siempre
it
llevaba
was
o en
these
un
people
canasto o en algún
would
tipo de
go with
cartera.
the
Y ella
market with some
empieza
kind of
con su
net.
habilidad de
So
tejer
she starts with
nuevamente,
her
que es una
ability
cosa
of
nata.
kneading some, again, that it's something
Entonces empieza
from
ella a tejer refuerzo
they're
de los
born with.
residuos que traían los costales,
So they
de cosas de las
start
que
to knead
vienen
a
o
bag
llegaban
from
de
the
verduras al
waste of
mercado.
the
Y
sacks.
empieza ella a
So
venderlas
she
porque
starts to
ella
sell
se
this
queda como
a
la dueña del
bag at
mercado
the
porque era
market.
el mercado de
So
verduras y el
it
mercado de
was
verduras.
the market
Entonces
bag
es como
because of the
muy
both
muy trivia
markets.
news de ese tema que sí me llamó mucho la
So
atención,
it was
de la
very
forma
interesting
como
for me
se
at
cambiaban
how
los
they were
productos por una
changing the
bolsa que se
products
quedó para la
from a
historia y
bag
que su
that
valor
stayed
histórico
for
creció.
history from the stock
Exactamente.
market. And
Claro. Y entonces, bueno, ¿cómo
so
viene de ahí tu proyecto?
how you
Cuéntanos
get
cómo
your project
empiezas,
from there.
de
Tell us how you
dónde.
started, where.
Mira, yo al
I'm
ser
gonna
mamá
tell you.
costarricense he tenido
When I am a
la
mom from
bendición
Costa
de poder
Rica,
conocer las dos culturas
I
desde
got the
hace muy,
blessing
muy
of
niña.
knowing both
Y
cultures since I
por
was very
azares del
little.
destino, hace
And
10
because
años
of
precisamente
destiny,
tomé
about
la decisión de
10
venirme para
years
Costa Rica.
ago, I
Tengo una pequeña
decided to
empresa de
go to live in
consultoría y
Costa
era el
Rica.
momento para
So I have
incursionar en
a
ese
very small
negocio.
technology
Y
company.
a los 2 años me
So
dice mi
2 years
esposo
after that,
que ya no, que si
my
me quería quedar en Costa Rica, pues que lo hiciera por mis propios medios. Mi
partners
carrera
tell me that they don't
inmobiliaria
want to have the
es
company
especialista en
anymore, that I could
mercadeo,
stay
¿no?
in Costa Rica, but
Entonces
I had to
especialista
do it
en
on my
mercadeo.
own.
Estudié
So
bastante mercadología, bastante. Entonces,
my
eso es lo que
career
hago.
was the fashion
Volvemos a
market. I
poner,
was a specialist in the fashion market. Sorry to
exactamente.
interrupt, but you have the talent and obviously the education, and you have been prepared, of course, in the topic of design and how with this product I
Entonces
can
me
take
quedo
it
en
to other
Costa Rica
people.
y bueno, empiezo este
So I stay in
negocio
Costa
de
Rica
que me traigo
and I start doing merchandising, and I
a
bring
Costa
from
Rica
Guatemala
cabalmente en
some
ese momento
products.
iniciaba
And
una comunidad
at
de
that
mujeres
time, I was just starting a
que hoy por hoy
community
sigue
of
existiendo
entrepreneur women, and
Carolina
that
Rodríguez, esta
it
comunidad
continues
que
up to
realmente
now.
se ha fajado en crear esa comunidad y le ha abierto las puertas
And this
fácil a unas 25,000
it has
empresarias
this company has opened
de Latinoamérica.
the doors
De ahí
to
conocí a
about
mi mejor amiga ahorita,
25,000
María José López,
entrepreneurs,
que vive
women
Venezolana,
from
y que
Costa
realmente
Rica.
se volvió
And
una
today, that's where I
comunidad
met my
como
best friends
cofradía de mujeres súper linda,
for the
donde
next
todas nos
years.
apoyamos. El
So
primer evento
a
fue
lot of
gris
people from
porque
Venezuela,
las que tenían
a
maridos tenían
community
luces y luego
with a
me
lot
metí
of
en
women,
indicadores
very
para que no hubiera
nice
calor
fans. So we
y
didn't
así ha
have
sido
fans, so we
por
didn't have a lot of
creo que ya son ocho
heat.
años.
And
Y
it's
siempre
still
pensé que mi
growing.
pensado era
It's been
ser
8 years. And I always thought that
una
if I went
comunidad
back to
donde las mujeres
Guatemala, I would wanted to
pudiéramos
do
estar
something like
seguras,
this,
con
a
confianza de
community
poder
that would
comprar cualquier
that
cosa.
everybody would feel
Y principalmente porque queríamos
comfortable.
mostrarle a
And
nuestras
basically
nuevas
because I wanted to
generaciones que
show the
existe
banking
la
company
necesidad de productos
that
financieros para las mujeres.
there
Y ser
is a
mujer hoy
necessity for a financial
mucho
help
más
for the
importante
women.
en
And
los
because the
países
women right
latinoamericanos.
now are the ones
La
that
población de
give the
Guatemala es más del
most to
50% mujeres,
Central American homes. Population in Guatemala is 50%, more than 50% is women. So it is a very important factor for the economy. There are no real products for the financial that you were talking about. In Costa Rica, there exists a bank about women. They're like pink banks, and it was a very important motivation because women would feel comfortable to go and ask for money. So it's also part of my fight in Guatemala and the rest of Central America uh, to develop some kind of a bank product to benefit the women. With we can do it if the financial system can develop a growing plan at the same time as the entrepreneur. Perfectly, we can take it, we can do it. Like they do it in a lot of television programs. A lot of financial entities can be part of this project. To develop it together can make a lot of success. So I go back to Guatemala and I create this community which is called the Hive because the bees are the animal more the more most efficient animal in the planet because if they don't exist, we just don't exist. So like the bees, all these women were in their places producing their things, but without having this platform that would help you present the products. It was a great success the first 3 years. We were in different commercial centers in the city. Unfortunately, a lot of these malls started to see how many people they started to get, so they started to close the opportunity. This was in 2017. No, I started in 2016. So these bags in these commercial centers, they closed it. I didn't sell the bags. What I would do is I would give them the platform so that all the women can get there. So right there, we were created a community. This community had 7,000 entrepreneur women from a hive, literally. So I did one-to-one to get to know all these women. There was a big problem to know exactly who is an entrepreneur who has a long-term vision and who is a woman that is only doing it to have an extra income or who is doing it as a hobby. This caught my attention because when we were organizing this talk, this classification that you did, this gave me an image of the entrepreneur. It's very simple, but there are only three things that you can identify where you want to be. So I love it. I've never seen it so clearly. So we're very happy of listening to all of your ideas because all this has to be related with the situations that we all have of having kids, of being married, of the machismo, if that you cannot go to work. So sometimes these topics are not very important, but it's a reality. So it's like this is like a tree because it has a lot of branches. I um, experienced from the husbands because at the beginning I was showing the financial system the big quantity of women that were not being accepted by men. I had a lot of insults. They called me all everything. One day, a man screamed at me to get away from the elevator. From the other side, the woman, if the woman tried to do the business and got wrong, and then there comes and tell them, "See, I told you." So her self-esteem is another problem. So there's a lot of branches, very intense branches. So I tried for the society to be like the hive where they could feel very comfortable, where they could ask for everything with the psychologist, with addictions, with a lot of people that could give them support. This was, I saw a movie, The First Weeks Club, that was an inspiration for me. It was with Bette Midler, Goldie Hawn. It's a really good movie, and it's inspiring, and how she gets a divorce. So I wanted to have a house where they could go, but they were closing the doors. That up to the point where the last point I decided to in order I wanted to show them that even if we're demotivated, and we gave them courses of a whole year of everything that had to do with photography, canvas model, product presentation, image, personal image of the product, uh, everything that you were doing. The entrepreneur woman had to pay for something because obviously you had a lot of professionals behind the program. Uh, how was this working? There was a tuition. I wanted to subscribe to this. Really, the idea was altruism. So what we were charging was for the renting of the space and renting of the furniture. And then we were working with the social media, and I also had a lot of nice people that show the vision of this product. So we were just charging for the courses. There were you did you have some sponsors, people believing in your project? Well, thank God I was part of this foundation with a lot of time. They gave us the place. People when you pay, they commit. If you could get it for free, they just don't go. So we do it like that. There were small groups, 15 to 20 people. So in between, there were coming this topic of the bags, because one of these in these hives, one girl arrived with a traditional bag. I loved the product because she was telling me that the plastic was recycled. So the product were we were supposed to change it, give it more design, change the quality, and definitely get it out of Guatemala, because unfortunately in their countries nobody it's a profit in their lands. So this is incredible. So according to the relationships that I had in Costa Rica, so this girl goes to participate in this other community, like we did it like an exchange, how we do it in the Central America entrepreneurs, so they could go and come. Difficult problems because the taxes were very different in each country. So it was not profitable for the girls over there to come here, but from here to there, it was really nice. So she goes to the two of the events in Costa Rica. I couldn't go because I couldn't leave these things here. So in the second time that she went, she told me, I want to talk to you. Let's So you know what? I'm just gonna start working from 9 to 5. So this is where you see the commitment of the entrepreneur, when it freezes, when you start seeing that the potential of the business was not what they expected. So she says she didn't want to. I didn't have to do a little bit more. So the little extra income requires a certain responsibility. So a lot of this happens to women, like you said, the ones that have kids, a husband, but it's extra money, but it's not really a commitment for an entrepreneur. So this is where I get a napkin and I said, little one, you have to sign right here. We didn't have a society. I was just actually helping her to get up. I just told her, I know you can do it. And you woke up my passion, because ever since I was 13 years old, I have been collecting wallets. So all my family from my mom's side was very involved. So was literally woke me up. So I started to get more involved in designs, started to get to know and the knitting that we were doing it with my brand are completely different from what you, it integrated different communities from art crafters, handicapped, and it was a very incredible impact from Guatemala. People that were affected by the war, um, people that had poliomyelitis with deformed hands that were sewing very impressively, people without a leg. So you decide through these that, okay, I'm going to go deep down in this topic with this. And how do you get to these communities? Because you're telling us this very nice story. How do you get to this where people say, this is me and this is, I'm going to make it big? Where the plastic bags I think God has already set something for you. In Antigua, Guatemala, we have a family house in a small town. So how do I find out who are the really good ones? So because the girls that I saw didn't have a lot of commitment. So if the art crafter is not committed, you cannot change it. Definitely, there's nothing you can do there. So I started looking in Facebook for the art crafters, and I see the face of this man, and I went with the picture walking through the park, asking, finding for Don Luis. So they told me, yeah, just around the corner. So I asked him, excuse me, are you? And I introduced myself, and I tell them I want to take the quality and the designs, and we started. Every time I get there and I so go, I have an idea. He grabs his head and says, "Oh, here she comes." We have on knit bags from Philippines and from India to see how can they work the natural fiber. So we on knit the natural fibers in order for to create different knitting. The purse that you have was inspired in Africa, and it's called Africa, and it's a beauty, and it's inspired in the collection of the deserts of the world, thinking of last year of the people that are migrating from one place to another, studying the deserts, the colors, the textures of the plants of the desert. How that's what this collection came out in Africa. So the material is 100% recycling plastic. This is very important for our audience to hear this. We're making circularity here. And the most interesting, and this product, you can also recycle it again. All these things are very interesting that I was telling Caro. There are tangible situations and proved that are influencing the fashion tendencies, the situations that are living today of the coronavirus, of changing the behavior of the people. And this program that you guys are incredible because the material that are recycled have this healthiness, a very high healthiness. And we're reusing again. It doesn't keep any bacteria, no smells. It can have some sand. They're very resistant. They're the beach bags. You can also have a six-pack of beer there. I hope you can call this sir and tell him prepare because of the production has triplicate. Today we were talking because they closed the recycling company. This problem, this is a change, and this situation is affecting everybody globally. Hopefully, this is only for a period of time, but you're seeing these that people are protecting themselves with gloves, with masks, and this new fashion accessory, even if we don't see it today, of the sanitary part for the amount of people because of the cleanliness, personal hygiene, because finally the human being looks for his own survival. That's why they're getting all the food that they can, everything to protect and live the longer I can. So this tendency is very strong of these bags. Recycling plastic bags are totally hygienic. So this is more hygienic. Yes. But also a very nice accessory because it's a different design. Right now, we're gonna show you the beauty that she brought. I want all of them for me. So tell us about these bags. I'm gonna tell you, in Guatemala, some years ago, a Guatemalan designer that I really, really love, we made a click. Telma in 2004, approximately. She was the first Latin women to create free designers for bags. With the one that Terry Vandel that doesn't exist anymore, a lot of the fashion know that it was a very strong accessory, the wallets from them, and they closed approximately about a year and a half ago. And then she wins the first contest of bags made out of Guatemalan fabric. I am very respectful of the cultural heritage. I think for the even if it's really beauty, every single textile of our cultures express traditions from very long time, express symbols that for them mean a lot, and we'd have no right to change that or cut it. They can make a lot of very nice, beautiful pieces, but in that area, I'm very respectful. I respect more the culture from long time ago. So I talked to her in November of last year, and I say, why don't you go back to the basic? Let's make a collection together. Let's get to this sustainable fashion line and show me the workshop. And she's like, okay, let's do it. So November last year, we got together and we started to play with colors, with materials that we wanted to be like 98% of the product to be sustainable. So we got to a very big conclusion, very important conclusion. Telma likes the butterflies, and so do I. So women identify a lot with the butterfly because they're evolving finally. Freedom. First of all, it's something very ugly. It's a caterpillar. We have and the caterpillar, it's really ugly and it evolves to become a very beautiful butterfly. So same thing us with the trash, the waste that we have, and we transform it to we put it to work and to develop to become something very nice products, very beautiful products for the love of the collection, because it clearly shows in this camera, if everybody can see it. This is spectacular. The little balls that hang are organic cotton that you feel that it's like satin, but it's not. The colors are 100% from natural plants. And this wallet requires the work of 14 people. This is one of the things very important to learn to appreciate since sustainable fashion like art craft, because it's not only one person, it's a big chain of people that are benefit, and we cannot ask for a discount. These people live very poor. Not only 14 people, but also the time that they take on elaborating a product like this. The elaboration. This part, as you can see it, is a little boy ball is much easier to make than the butterfly. This make it in 2 days, and butterflies takes them between 3 and 4 days to sew. To obtain the perfection, and we also use these it's very very thin so that the leaves can stay up. The bag is covered from the inside. It's a high quality bag, bead by bead. The bead, it's a process of recycling the glass, and they purified it and they polish it in machines, and they open a little hole so that they can put. Yeah, people has no idea of how this is done. And if you go to China, it sounded like a plastic and glass. Uh, the audience and those of you who are seeing us in Facebook Live and later in YouTube have no idea. I think you're seeing it like you can see it here, but it's a product. It's very beautiful product and sustainable 100%. Maybe the only thing is the hoops that we have right here. We're seeing how to make it sustainable. We're gonna try. We're seeing with we're thinking. I'm thinking about doing it with bamboo. I have asked some people already to put the work. It's recycling plastic. So your raw material is plastic. It's PET from everything we use at home. I'm gonna explain a little bit the process so you can have a clearer idea. When you have this container of soap, shampoo, it gets to the recycling plant. They take away the etiquettes, they crush it, and they become small crystals. So they lose the color totally. So these, they put it into this machine on how you make pasta. So the most interesting from Central America, Guatemala and Salvador are the only ones that create this thread. United States doesn't produce it. Mexico produces it in and I have my doubts. even if in Mexico they do it in Acapulco, but it's not the same thread. It's a little bit elastic and round. So this thread, you pass it to this machine, like to make the pasta. Like it's thicker, like the fettuccine is a thicker one. It's like the as thick as a fettuccine, and this one that is a spaghetti. So that's how we identify them. The belt, or the one that we call fettuccine, you can cut it in half and make the effect of the bag that you have. Your bag is 100% fettuccine cut in half. That bag, it takes them 3 days of working to have the form that you have. And this bag, nobody else has it more than that. Nobody else but me. It's divine. It's very beautiful. So with Telma right now, on Monday, we're launching the first video that we've made, and very thankful for all these people that collaborated because this video was free. Very high quality products, very haute couture. So if I could put a Louis Vuitton wallet next to it, they could easily give me $500 for this wallet. This video you can find it in Instagram and us in Red Vanilla. So tell us something about something you have mentioned. How did you get this name, the Red Vanilla? It is the $1 million question that we were asking Caro. Misha is my nickname that my grandmother gave me. Three sisters, two got married with the ambassadors, and one of them loved the good too. So it was like that. It was the 1950s. She asked to go work with him, but it was a very machista house. So she stayed suing for her sisters. But it was something very spectacular. This comes because when I was living in Costa Rica, my Tico grandfather would take me to watch football when I was little. So I was liking soccer a lot, and I have a brother, and always with soccer. So in the World Cup in Costa Rica was present in Africa. So I was very impressive because Tika women is very flirtatious. She would flirt everywhere. And one of the factors that that I always noticed is that I didn't have the right wallet for this stadium. It's because you love the wallets very much. That was the first thing you notice. I couldn't have the look together because I didn't have the right accessory, the most important. So everybody was in red, very pretty. Everybody was red, but there was not the right wallet. So the ladies was hurting the look of the city with the wallet. So with all of these that I discovered in Costa Rica, that in Costa Rica we're using the art craft from Guatemala. I talked to the ambassadors of both countries, and I proposed them if we could create like an ecological art craft, regional art craft that didn't affect any of the cultural heritage from either other country, and that would generate work and help clean the trash. So the ambassadors from Costa Rica and Guatemala supported me. They were fascinated, and so I started to make the first little bag. It was a little bit taller than this because you could put the bottle of water, the cell phone, and a brush. Perfect. What else can we need, the women? So really, the women that are designs that for me as a woman that I need, that I agonize when I don't find. So this is how I start in Costa Rica with these. So what is the name that we can put? So it was the girl of the bags right there. So right, I told her that we're focusing on the football, on soccer, and it was the red selection from Costa Rica. They would call them the red. Um, it was the second World Cup. I saw a lot, but not that many. Costa Rica was doing good, but it didn't go to the finals. So we could say that the team was responsible. But we had already the name. So the fact that the trash, but at some point it's everybody's. So I started to think, what is the element that we all human beings have that we can share? And they can make us be part of a community. And when you buy this product, you can be responsible for the planet. And the only element that runs through your veins, it's blood. And what color is the blood? it's red.
Bueno, a veces digo que azul, no mentira, sí, rojo.
Sí, yo también digo, pero
Pero no.
Pero no,
pero te
solo
apuesto
se ve
que
por
no.
acá, por fuera.
Entonces,
So the only element that put all the human beings together with no language, no race,
de color rojo.
no country, it's the
Todas las culturas
red.
ancestrales desde que
And
desde
red is
hace
involved
miles
in
de
all
años
the ancestral cultures. The most useful color in all the cosmetics is the red.
quedarme
So
con
I
Roja,
decided to stay with the red,
me
Misha,
conoce por Misha.
because a lot of people know me like with
Pero ya
Misha,
muchísimos más ahora te
Y
but
están
a
aparte
lot
que me
conociendo.
dicen
more
Misha, es
now.
como algo familiar, porque
So
me
now
dicen
it's very
Misha.
familiar because they call me Misha,
Entonces,
Misha. So who are they talking
pero
to?
ese es el motivo y luego porque quería
And because I
un
wanted a
símbolo
symbol
que
to
representara
highlight the woman as important.
rojo, es
So
una
it turns
zona
out that the
que
red
destaca
was a
a la
Mayan
mujer,
Greg
a
that
la mujer como el centro de la sociedad.
highlights
Entonces,
women
cada
as the
una de las
center
personas que
of the
porta una pantera
society.
se convierte en un
So,
puntito
so it becomes a point, a round
de nuestro
point
símbolo. Si tú miras
of
tu
our
cartera,
symbol. If you see your wallet
tiene un circulito
from the back, it has a little circle
esos tienen
or in the
el de ahí
front.
mío porque van ahí unimos nuestros
Those
símbolos.
have the ones from Thelma and mine because they're
Lo que
both
se
of our
trata exactamente es que la persona
logos.
ya se sienta como
So what this is
contribuyendo
all
a
about
seguir
is
con sus
for
mismas
the person
responsabilidades con un
to
producto
become a part
que se
and to
puede
be a responsible consumer of a product that is
de ahí viene el
totally
nombre.
responsible. That's why
Entonces todos
it's
estos
called
productos
red.
los produces
So
en
all these
Guatemala.
products you
Producto en
produce them
Guatemala,
in Guatemala. Yes,
100%. Mi
100% in
idea es
Guatemala.
poder capacitar
My
mujeres
idea
en Costa Rica
is
porque
to be
Costa
able
Rica tiene mucha artesanía.
to train women in
Es un
Costa
país en
Rica
el que somos
too,
sumamente
because
unidos,
Costa Rica
entonces
has no
eso es
art
bonito.
craft. It's a
Y
country that has a lot of marketing.
es
We
una
have to give them
plataforma
credit for that,
adecuada
and a lot
para
of
poder educar al
tourists.
consumidor
So
global
it is a perfect
con productos
platform to be
ecológicos.
able to educate the global consumer
Pregunta, ¿cómo
and
manejas el
to
aspecto
consume
de
these ecological
hacer
products. I have a
producir
question.
masa,
How do
porque
you
no
manage
todo,
the
sin
uh,
perder la sostenibilidad?
producing a lot
Bueno, como el hilo se
without
suele
losing the
producir
sustainability of the
normalmente a cierta
products?
cantidad de
Well,
litros. Lo que el año
the
pasado
thread is being
hicimos fue
sold
nosotros
in
etiquetados para
thread
que
rolled.
las lámparas
I'm gonna tell you
no
that
se
last year I
expongan
was
a los food
blessed to
courts
be
sin perder los
hired to
comerciales.
create the lamps of
Esto fue un
2 meters
por el que
high
se animaron
for
a
the
hacer
food
la
courts of
pues
5 malls in
invitamos a las
Guatemala.
personas
So it was a
que no tienen
challenge because they gave us,
financiamiento para
they showed
poder
us how to do it and
hacerlo,
they
¿verdad?
asked
Y
us, "You want to do it?" And we said, "Yes, let's do it." And it was really
entonces
a
ahí
great
sí hicimos
success.
producción en masa,
So
porque una
we
de las
did a lot of
cualidades de mi
products
marca
right
es que
there.
no
One of the
tengo
qualities
en
of this
serie
brand,
100 carteras
we don't do
exactamente
like
para
100
evitar
wallets
crear exceso
exactly
de inventario.
to avoid the
Sí,
excessive
realmente sí tratamos de
inventory.
equilibrar.
So
Eso no
it's
significa
a level of
que
exclusivity, but that
es un
doesn't
error
mean
mental
that
que
this
tiene todo el
product is
mundo
going to
creer
be
que porque son
very
pocas piezas es
expensive. It's a
carísimo.
mental
Es
error,
Sí,
and
sostenible para hacer
people think that there are very few
eso no.
pieces, so it's going to be very
Lo
very
hago también para
expensive.
respetar
Sustainable
el
is not
medio local,
expensive.
¿verdad?
So it's
Y
also to
vamos
respect not to
a
have an
cuidar y
inventory,
exigir que
not
se hagan las cosas
consume
como se deben
material,
realizar
and to
y
ask
para
to have
mantenerle
material that
la
is not going to be
creatividad
used,
a
and to
a los
maintain
productos,
also
porque
the
si nosotros
creativity or the art
creamos
crafters,
un diseño
because
que no
if
evoluciona
they
Y se les
are
corta ahí lo que tú hablas
la
de
stuck with
creatividad
de
a
no
single
la
evoluciona.
esencia de...
design,
Entonces
they
se
don't
recomienda
evolve.
constantemente.
So I give them a challenge
Tú lo puedes
constantly,
ver en mi página de
and my
Instagram.
products
Vas a descubrir que
evolve.
no hay
You
una
can
gran
you can
producción
also see it in my Instagram
Recuérdanos tu
page.
página de
Please
Instagram porque
tell us
queremos
again your web
etiquetar
page
contigo todos.
because we're really happy to be with you,
Tristes de
but
tenernos que ir
sad
nuevamente a
because we
nuestro
have
hotel.
to go
Ah, ya.
again.
Entonces
Oh,
vamos a
not
cantar,
yet.
falta un poquito.
Okay,
Bueno,
just a little
sigamos.
longer.
Dios
Let's
mío,
continue.
¿qué hablé tanto?
No.
No,
Lo que
es
pasa es que
que
generalmente empezamos un poquito tarde, ¿no?
tenemos todavía un poquito de
We still
tiempo.
have
Este
some
tema
time.
obviamente nos va a
Uh,
faltar muchísimo tiempo.
of
3 horas
course, for this
contigo,
topic, we
como
wish to
3
have like
programas,
3 hours
da
or
para
three
muchísimo.
programs
Pero
to
bueno, por
talk
ejemplo,
to
tengo
you.
una
But
pregunta.
for
Esto
example,
que
I have a
dices
question.
por ejemplo, en esas producciones que dices que son
For example, for these
exclusivas, que no
productions that are very
cualquier persona puede
exclusive,
hacer, no haces
that have a touch of
cuántas
exclusivity,
piezas
how
son?
many
¿Cómo es
pieces do
lo,
you
Te voy a
make?
cómo
contar
lo
que gracias a
manejas?
Dios,
Well, I'm gonna tell you
ahorita
that
tenemos en
thank
Costa
God,
Rica,
right now we have in
en
Costa
Guatemala
Rica,
y a partir de
in
hoy en
Miami,
Nicaragua.
and in Guatemala, and
Entonces,
starting today in
no he podido
Nicaragua.
mantener
So
exactamente el número porque
I don't
todavía
have
estoy
the
viendo los
exact
puntos de venta,
number
pero
because
por
the
puntos en la
sellings are
Nicaragua tenemos
increasing, but
24 piezas y
approximately
12
24
Y
pieces,
el número 24
and 24 pieces.
puntos de
Sometimes I
venta.
have
Tienes
two
para la
una,
primera
repetitions.
cena.
una
Why
normal puede ser un
24?
peso en la caja.
because of the factors is depending on the weight of the
Y aquí en Miami,
box.
¿dónde podemos
And right here in Miami, where can we,
tienes
En la
puntos de venta?
página
where in
de
Miami, in
Upcycle
our
Project,
page, Upcycle
tenemos en
Project,
Boho Hunter
we
en
have
Dura,
sold it in Bajo Hunter
Frisco
and
Couture
Dura
en
Friscouture,
Polardo. Son los tres
Polardo.
puntos, ya no hemos
These are the
tenido
3
alguien más que
points.
quiera distribuir.
And I am
Bueno,
also looking for somebody else that would like to distribute this
Con
project.
Gaby, a Gaby le debo muchísimo. Sí fue personal
Gabriela
porque
Smith,
realmente también
I owe Gabby a
gracias
lot
a Gaby
because thanks to Gabby, we have
encuentra
been
diseños
expanding.
que
She created
trabajamos en una
a
colección en
design.
conjunto.
We
Muchas
have
gracias
we
por
accomplished a collection
gracias a
in
eso pudimos
collaboration
seguir
with
con
her,
Pangea
and that's why I collaborated with Pangea
en The Miami On Site.
in Miami on
Fashion
site
shows con ella.
and the fashion
Y la
shows with
persona fue
her.
súper linda en el camino.
And very
De
nice people
verdad,
that I
fue como,
found
ay,
in the process.
no me puedo
There
imaginar vivir con
are
ella.
like angels because I never thought I'd be here with you. Do you see
tema
any
de
difference
sostenibilidad
of the topic of sustainability in, for example, different from Costa Rica, Guatemala, or right here in the United States, like
Honestamente,
more
no veo más en
advances?
Latinoamérica que aquí en Estados Unidos.
Honestly, I see more advances in Latin America than they
Porque
did
son
in the
países
United
más
States.
pequeños y
I
luego
don't
pues
know,
tener la información más
probably
rápida.
because they're smaller
Es más fácil de
countries, or
controlar
it's easier to get
lo que están
information,
haciendo.
or the products that are
Realmente,
making.
tal
Of
vez sea
course, the
uno de
amount of
los
people
productos
here
masivas
in
gigantesco,
the massive
pero
productions
también
are
existen
gigantic.
casi que noticias falsas
But
en
here
relación a
you
lo que
hear
hacen
a
las
lot of
grandes empresas para ganar al
a lot
consumidor
of
y eso
fake
realmente está
news
volviendo
in relationship with the companies
entonces creo
of
que
winning the consumer.
Europa
Well, we
también
were
creo que está
talking
tomando
in
esa
one
conciencia
place about the
yo
greenwash.
no he ido para que me
So I
cuentes
think Europe is
y yo
also
de manera
working really hard, some parts,
informal lo veo
but I haven't been there
súper
to see it.
realmente
Guatemala has worked a lot. I see a lot of
sí existe el concepto de que
millennials,
el
young
mejor
people
de moda
with these
sostenible va a ser
cheap.
más caro.
There, the concept it exists of the sustainable fashion is going to be more expensive, but it's not necessarily. It's not like that. So I invite you to see the prices.
Es un trabajo
You can see our prices so you can get to know them and also realize that this is a work that is being done handmade, and it gives work to a lot of people and gives food to a lot of people and a lot of satisfaction. Yes, like we were talking in these indigenous communities, people that work, people like you, the concept is community. It's not capitalist. It's not to make more and sell more and more money, but all the values. And one of the main, the ones that I consider most important, is to go back to the community, to strengthen the community in a lot of aspects. In one of them is in order for them to keep creating in this. It's one of the most beautiful things and so important from the indigenous community, especially with the women. They are very strong. In these times, where they're very strong. We're seeing, I think we're going to have a program specifically about women, indigenous women, because there's a lot to talk about. What they want is they have this communitary spirit. What they want really is to share their beliefs, to share their indigenous DNA, because a girl, ever since she's 7 or 8, she has it in her blood. So they are really entrepreneurs, women entrepreneurs, but they need a lot of support and a lot of financial support to go on. When I started to learn how to, because I said if I'm going to sell them, I have to learn how to make them. I was in the second row of threading. The discs went out and I got confused, and it took me about month and a half, and the boys have done about 4 of them, and even my fingers bled, and I felt like very terrible now. So it takes a long time. I really loved your project, truly. Bravo. I am filled with love, with hope. I really love the job of the indigenous women in my country. There's a lot of work, there's a lot of art. So I can really identify with this. And I think one of the main reasons why this project was generated was when I came back from Oaxaca, very inspired for all the work that I saw, that all the handcrafters have done there, are really fascinated by all this sustainable fashion. I love this sustainable fashion because it's very I love it because it has a lot of variety. You can talk about politics, economy, women, a lot of things, but the indigenous part, I think definitely is one of my favorites.
Y es donde está la mayor
And it is where you can find the greatest richness
Correcto.
for all the things that we use, the fashion. Take a look at the India, take a look at the culture, China culture, the Mexican culture, and it keeps going on and on. South America is working with the cotton with an external form. Mexico is working with ceramic incredibly. I've been to Oaxaca and Puebla, and I've had opportunity to get to know a lot of these. And I think there's a specific
Cierto, por
characteristic
ejemplo,
of these
dar a los
cultures
diseñadores
and
que
everything
hoy en
that they
día
can
es
give to the designers
dicen,
now
mire,
today that is very
adopten
rich. They
nuestra
say
cultura,
adopt
nuestra
our
artesanía
culture,
y
our
enriquezcan su
craft,
producto.
and enrich your product. Last year, Donna Karen and Naikam got to Guatemala, and they got to this specific area, and then they went back with a lot of products. Carmen Busquet, this group dominates. Yes, there's a point that's very important that Maria has just mentioned to give the real value. I mean, all of a sudden happened with Carolina Herrera that she gets these dresses, a collection of dresses, and all the designs were Mexican dresses, and from the knitting. So this is the most important, I think. The not the profit. It's also important, but all these knitting has have a lot of history, precious history. So it's better for you to have this product of any brand, but fashion comes back really. It's coming back. Neon is coming back. The knitting is coming back. Everything has a cycle. I was telling you the other day, I'm interested in that my art crafters take the credit for the designs. The designers are just a channel at the end. For me, it's enabled to be able to learn how to do this back to my fingers blade. The women that are sewing the dresses of Carolina Herrera really spend hours and they leave their sites there. And these are very deep things. But also the origin, the creativeness has an origin. It's not the designer. I just came up with something, and I don't think it's very ethical. Depend whatever the brand we're talking about. So I think this is really important that all these work of working with the indigenous people, this teamwork, it's not a problem to recognize where each of the things are coming from. There's a history.
Hay
There's so much
tradición.
behind everything.
inventar el agua azucarada.
It's not who made up the water with sugar, like my grandmother said. It's simply that you're giving life and transforming into a different look. But there's somebody else, definitely. I can tell you that this thread comes from the stem of the rose. So from the stem of the rose. So they get a part from here, and they take some liquid from there, and they also the petals of the rose.
Ir a ver
They,
los procesos.
in order for them to get the pink.
Es un pueblito que no puedes llegar en
It's a very small town that you cannot get through car. You can only go in a boat. So imagine the water and the. To this town, I go approximately every 3 months. The closest one is the one of the plastic workshop. Every week, 3 days a week, we can go. You can come and visit. We're gonna go visit. Well, I think our time has come. First, tell us where people can find you. In Costa Rica, we're in 5 different boutiques: Societe, Escazú, in Tienda Capítulo, and Santana, Enico, and Heredia. Right here in Miami, you can find us in the International Airport in Miami, in Coco Bay, and we are in the Upcycle Project Culture, and we are also in the Either Rock. We're open to a lot of other selling points. In Nicaragua, we're opening up today, very happy. We're very blessed to get to know the girl. She was here with her boyfriend, and I got here, and her business. The name of the store is Azul, the pop-up store. in Managua, and it's a girl nominated to be Latin America Entrepreneur. And in Instagram, La Roja by Misha. It's a little red logo with with dots. It's gonna come out really fast. Remember, our audience. Remember that we're gonna be sending you an email every Tuesday. And next Tuesday, we're gonna be sending you all the information from Michelle, so you can find her in the social media. A very small summary of what we talked about, but basically the interview that I have loved. I thank you again because I know that this coronavirus topic has put everybody stressful. Uh, we have been disinfected here. Um, well, we have to say goodbye. Well, everybody, dear audience that you're watching and listening, thank you very much for being with us. This is your space. Also, we wish from our heart to be safe. Everything will be all right. Stay at home. Take care. This is time to be with your family, to share with your family, and really to think about the other person. If I go out, I can affect somebody else. So stay home. Let's take some time to stay in family. Thank you very much to be with us, Michelle. Thank you very much. We're very happy. You're a fantastic woman. You're an entrepreneur woman. And it's really you're very inspiring. You inspire a lot of women. And thank you very much. Thank you. I would have never imagined being sitting here with you, talking to you about this topic. You are in the perfect time with a great program. So this is time to say goodbye. Thank you very much. Take care. We don't know yet if the next Wednesday, hopefully, we won't have an inconvenience. Right now, the Miami is not in lockdown. Uh, so let's see. We're gonna make it possible. Try to make it possible. So we're going to be letting you know through our social media if we're going to be sitting down here next week. A big hug, take care, and we'll see you soon.